If you are a professional woman balancing a career, a family, and now aging parents, I know exactly what your schedule looks like. You don't have 20 hours this week to drive around town, touring senior living communities that, frankly, might not even be an option. Most families make a fatal mistake. They start by touring. They look at the chandeliers, they drink the coffee, and they waste weeks talking to salespeople. Today, I'm going to show you how to do the opposite. I'm going to show you how to use a simple few-minute process to filter out 90% of the bad options before you ever pick up the phone. This is about saving your time, your sanity, and getting straight to the right answer. So here's the trap. You realize mom needs help, so you Google senior living near me. You get a list of 10 places, you call them, they all say, come on in for a tour. So you take time off work, you drive over, the tour takes 90 minutes, and at the very end, they drop the price, $8,000 a month. But your budget is $4,500 a month. So you just wasted 3 hours. Now multiply that by 5 communities. That's 15 hours of your life gone just to find out you were looking in the wrong aisle. You need a filter. You need to know exactly which care model, home care or assisted living, fits the budget and the medical needs before you get in the car. And that's why I built a free tool called the Senior Care Cost Comparison Calculator. Yeah, that's a mouthful to be sure, but it's really simple to use. Most people think it's just for budgeting. It's not. It's also a time management tool. It allows you to run the numbers on 24/7 home care versus assisted living or memory care in about 60 seconds. So let me show you how this saves you weeks of research.
All right, welcome to the Cost Comparison Calculator. We can go through this in 60 seconds once you know what you're doing, but this video is to help explain all of the different fields that we'll be looking at, all of the things that we can change and update to really get a sense of what the cost will be for your family specifically. So the idea here, instantly calculate real-world monthly costs for assisted living, memory care, and in-home care. We don't need spreadsheets. It's going to do these calculations for us. So let's go ahead and scroll through this a little bit. You can see some here of the benefits for doing this process. If you click this button, it will take you to the bottom of the page where you can download the printable calculator. That will allow you to take it with you when you go on tours, rather than having to write everything down on a separate piece of notepaper. It allows you to compare many different communities or services like in-home care all on one printable sheet. So we'll do that at the end. But here you can see we've got our free cost calculator, and we're going to compare those costs. So first off, you need to find out what in-home care costs are per hour in your community. If you go through a reputable company, a home health company or a care aid company, of course they have overhead, and the hourly rate that they're charging you is, the hourly rate for the care aid that's going to be coming to the home for your parents, plus that overhead. The company itself needs to make some money. So those rates can be rather high. I put an average rate here in Austin, Texas at $31.50. Maybe your community is a little bit more. Maybe your community is a little bit less. Let's go ahead and change that. I'm going to turn that into 30. And anytime you change a field on this calculator, you'll need to click somewhere else on the screen and it will change the numbers here. So let's go back to that same average hourly rate. We'll change it from 30 to 35. This is saying we're doing 20 hours per week. And now when I click anywhere else, you'll see this estimated monthly care cost. Basically be the multiplication of those two numbers. I'll click and there it went ahead and updated. So 20 hours a week would break down to 4 hours per day, Monday through Friday, if that's the kind of thing that you need. So you really get a handle of how much do you need someone to come and help your mom or dad and per day. And as their care needs go up, of course, those hours per week are going to go up as well. So that's something to think about, not just what their needs are today, but how they might change over time. So let's go ahead and just look at our little chart here. This little table shows, based on that $35 an hour that we entered, if you did 1 hour per day, that's 7 hours a week. If you do it once every day all week, that would cost you over the month $1,060. If it was 4 hours per day, that's 28 total hours for 7 days. And that goes up 4,243. And then if we went to 24/7 care, where you felt like you needed someone with your parents around the clock, you can see how many hours per week that actually is and how much per month that actually is. $25,000 a month. Hardly anybody can afford that. So, when you're getting in this area of 8 hours per day, what we consider a full work day or longer, these numbers, the total monthly costs, values are going to be approaching or exceeding something like assisted living or memory care. And that's what we're trying to figure out here, what the future will look like, not just what the next 6 months look like. Now, if someone is staying in home and they're getting in-home care, they have their own home costs as opposed to an assisted living where all of these things would be, or almost all of these things would be included. So I've gone ahead and put some average numbers in here. Groceries, $350 a month, utilities, $180 a month. That can include electric, gas, wastewater, garbage collection, that kind of thing. Internet, TV services, property insurance, if you still own a home. You've got landscaping and maintenance. You've got mortgage or rent. Possibly there's no mortgage. Right? They've been in their home for a really long time. So let's go ahead and change that one to 0 and click outside of it. You'll see this number change once I click somewhere else. There we go. It went down by $1,200. But they still have property taxes. For instance, in Texas, property taxes are rather high because we don't have state income tax. So $420 a month might be a little bit low in your state. It might be something more like, if they have a big home in a nice area, it might very well be $1,200 per month, and that's going to take that monthly cost up to $5,331 here for total in-home care costs. This calculator is, of course, giving you, it's cascading all of the data. So we had picked 20 hours per week, and we had picked $35 an hour plus living expenses, right? If I scroll all the way back up to the top and change this to 33, we'll say, and click outside of it, it changes our estimated monthly cost for the care itself. And then you can also see that cascading down here. And we just changed this to $33 an hour, and it changes our total monthly cost for in-home care. Now, let's go ahead and look at assisted living. I picked some monthly base costs for Austin, Texas. That's where I'm based. Average, or maybe median, we should say, is $5,500 per month. For memory care, it's a bit higher, $6,200, and that's base costs. So we'll look at things that could increase the base costs as well. But let's go ahead and look at assisted living, because that would likely be the first kind of community that your parent would move into after leaving their house. Now, we've got some examples here of what's included in the base price. It's usually a private room with a private half bath. Sometimes they have a shared bath instead of a private bath. There are 3 meals a day and snacks, regular cleaning and laundry services, social and recreational programs. Some communities offer scheduled local transportation. That's to outside shopping or doctor's appointments and the like. Not all communities do have a van and driver able to take the residents, outside of the community. That's something you definitely want to check on when you are trying to vet a community or service. They often have an emergency response system. That would be maybe a button that they wear on a necklace around their neck that they can click and get the attention of the caregivers, who would hopefully respond quickly and get there to see what the resident needs. They can also help sometimes with scheduling appointments, especially if those appointments are in the community where, let's say, a geriatric doctor or a home health representative would be coming to the community to see the resident, the community might help with scheduling those appointments. And then usually the additional costs are things like incontinence care, what is called level 2 or 3 care assistance. It's another premium that gets added on. Medication administration, keeping track of all of the meds, keeping them in a locked area, and dispensing them at the exact time that the doctor is expecting them. And that may happen 6 times across a day for some residents. So it definitely, requires a lot of attention to detail to meet the state regulations and also be safe. So that adds an additional cost. There are specialized therapies that some of these places have. There's a massage therapist. That would be an extra. They may be able to schedule those appointments. They may have a relationship with the therapist, but the family would be charged for that. Same thing goes for beauty salon or barber services. They might have an actual room dedicated to that kind of stuff at the community, but they typically are extra costs. And then maybe cable TV is not included. And certainly some communities that have pets are going to charge a pet fee. So these are the kinds of things that could take that base monthly cost here that we're looking at up here at $5,500 and make it much higher. So here's an area where we could add some of that. Let's say we need medication administration. If we look back up here, that's $150 to $300 a month. Let's say $200 a month. Personal care assistance, you can hover over any of these information tabs, and not all communities are going to automatically include bathing, dressing, help with mobility, like getting in and out of wheelchairs. All of that may not include that in the base price. That may be something that is additional. Some communities just automatically include those basics. It's always good to get those details up front for every possible change that your parents may need, because you're looking at a cost today right here of say $5,700 a month, but over time these things can definitely go up. So let's say the community charges an extra $500 for that, and then any specialized services like physical therapy, specialized diets, one-on-one personalized care rather than several caregivers having to service the whole community or the whole floor if it's a very large community with multi-floors. So let's say for this example, we have a specialized diet. They're gluten-free and they have to have that food made specially, and that may be an extra $100 a month, we'll say. Here's an important note. Some communities use a la carte pricing for personal care assistance. Basically can turn what you think is going to be a standard bill into an itemized list like you might see from an airline, and you're wondering, what are all these extra charges? Let's say your mom needs transfer assistance. Every single time someone comes to the room and that's requested, they may add that as a line item charge on your invoice for that month. And that stuff can get out of control really quick. So you want to really understand a community that uses a la carte pricing is not a community that's easy for you to dial in a budget and really understand what your costs are going to be. So here we go. We've looked at both in-home and we've looked at assisted living. We've made some changes to the values as we've walked through for a given situation. It's going to show us that in-home care in the green here is the most cost effective. And if we look at the difference in price, that's an additional savings for in-home care right now at 20 hours a month. You're going to save $1,142, or over the year, that's $13,706 that you're saving. Now, I would like to go back up to the top here and go, all right, well, those 4 hours a day for only 5 days in a week. What if we need more? What if we definitely need somebody there on the weekends? And maybe your parent needs help, especially in the morning when they're having to get out of bed, they're going to have to shower or bathe, they're getting clothed, they need some food, and of course medications. Well, that kind of thing happens both in the morning and the evening. So let's say we need 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening. That's 6 hours a day, and you need that for 7 days a week. So 6 hours times 7 is, if I'm doing my math right, 42 hours for that week. And we click off that, and wow, we just jumped up. Our estimated in-home care costs went up to $6,001. Well, what happens if 6 months from now, the company says, well, inflation has hit us, and we've got to go from $33 to $35 an hour. Boom, it goes up to $63, $65. And now, if we scroll all the way back down, our total monthly costs here, including all the stuff that's associated with our home that we wouldn't have to pay at a senior living community, brings us up to a total of $86.65. And now when we compare that to assisted living, whoa, it just changed. So now we're in green here on assisted living. It's showing as the most cost effective. And the monthly savings here is $23.65 a month, or almost $30,000 in a year, that it's less expensive to stay in an assisted living. And there are some extra benefits to both in-home care and assisted living. And you can take the time to read through all of these. One of the things that you get in assisted living that you wouldn't get at your parents' home is a social interaction with their peers at mealtime, for special events that are happening, different structured activities and programs in the community, those kinds of things. The rest of this I'll let you read on your own. And here we are at the bottom of this lovely calculator. And if you want to get the printable copy of that calculator, if you just enter your first name and your email and click this button right here. And the one thing that this helps out with, and all of the solutions that we have at Best Senior Living, sales reps are really good at highlighting the things that they do well, and of course not discussing or redirecting from the things where they may fall short. They're very good at what they do, and they understand pressure points and all that kind of stuff, and really key into your emotions, maybe less than what your individual desires are. So these kinds of tools empower you with knowledge and a way for your family to compare, rank, and rate different services or communities against each other in a very clear way so that everyone's on the same page, literally. If you'd like to use this calculator, go ahead to the description below and click the link. It'll take you right there. And you can run this as many times as you possibly want. One thing that we don't have, of course, in this calculator is to save the work. So that's another reason why you would want to download the printable calculator and have these numbers that you take the time to do some research on. For instance, that average hourly rate for in-home senior care, or the monthly base costs for the individual communities that you're looking at. Whether it's assisted living or memory care, you'd like to keep those numbers handy. And that way, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, you can go back to that information and not have to do rework.
In addition to running the online calculator for countless scenarios, you can now download this calculator for free right now. The link is in the description below. It's a simple PDF you can print out or fill in on your computer. Use it to filter the noise. And once you know where to look, you're going to need to know what questions to ask. And that's why I created the Senior Care Rapid Decision Toolkit. It includes the crucial checklists, the questions to ask on tours, and the scorecards to make sure you pick the safe option, not just the pretty one. Because you don't have time to be a senior care expert. You just need someone who's been there to help you make the right decisions fast. So grab the free calculator below, save yourself those 20 hours, and get back to your life without feeling guilt. I'm Jason Brenizer from Best Senior Living. Your freedom is just one system away.